Alright, let's sleep. Pull the blankets up to your chin. Fluff your pillow. Turn off your phone and let the darkness settle around you like a soft, warm cloak. Tonight, we're going to travel back in time to a world of silk and spice, of towering minarets and bustling bazaars, of a land where the rivers flowed with history and the deserts whispered of ancient kingdoms. We're going to meet a woman who defied the conventions of her age, who ruled an empire in a world that believed only men could wear the crown, and who, in the end, became a legend that would outlast the empire itself. Her name was Razia Sultana. But before we get to the throne and the battles, the intrigue and the tragedy, we need to understand the world into which she was born, a world of the Delhi Sultanate, of the Mamluk dynasty, of a kingdom that was the crossroads of civilizations. Part 1, The World of the Sultanate. The year is 1205. The place is Delhi, the capital of the Delhi Sultanate, one of the most powerful kingdoms in the Islamic world. The Sultanate stretches across much of northern India, from the Indus River in the west to the Ganges in the east, from the Himalayas in the north to the Deccan Plateau in the south. It is a land of incredible diversity, Muslims and Hindus, Persians and Turks, merchants and farmers, scholars and soldiers. The Sultanate was founded in 1206 by Kutbuddin Aybak, a Turkish slave who rose through the ranks to become the ruler of one of the most powerful empires in Asia. It was a dynasty of former slaves, the Mamluk dynasty, and it was built on the principles of loyalty, military prowess, and Islamic piety. The rulers of the Sultanate were known as sultans, and they ruled with absolute authority. Delhi, the capital, is a city of walls and gates, of markets and palaces, of mosques and madrasas. Its streets are filled with the sounds of merchants haggling, of scholars debating, of soldiers marching. The city is a center of culture, learning, and commerce. It is also a city of immense wealth and immense poverty, of power and oppression. In the palace of the Sultan, a baby girl is born. She is given the name Razia, a name that means mystery or secret. Her father is Iltutmish, the third Sultan of the Mamluk dynasty, a man of great ambition and even greater wisdom. Her mother is Turkan Khatun, a woman of Turkish origin who is one of Iltutmish's favorite wives. Razia is not the first child of Iltutmish, he has many children, but she is special from the start. She is intelligent, curious, and fiercely independent. She learns to read and write, to study the Quran, to understand the laws of the Sultanate, and to wield a sword. She is trained in the arts of war and statecraft, and she is taught that she is the equal of any man. Iltutmish loves his daughter. He sees in her a spirit that reminds him of his own. He also sees a problem: he has no son who is capable of ruling. His eldest son, Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud, is weak and sickly. His other sons are either too young or too incompetent. Iltutmish knows that when he dies, his kingdom will be in danger. He makes a decision that will shock the world: he names Razia as his heir. Part 2, The Heir. The decision is met with disbelief. A woman as a ruler? In a world where women are expected to be veiled and silent, the nobles of the Sultanate are outraged. They protest, they argue, they threaten. But Iltutmish is resolute. He believes that Razia is the best person to rule, and he will not be swayed. He makes his decision public. He declares that Razia is his successor, and he ensures that the nobles swear an oath of allegiance to her. It is a risky move, but Iltutmish is a powerful and respected ruler. The nobles may grumble, but they accept. Razia grows up knowing that she is destined to rule. She studies with the best scholars, she trains with the best soldiers, and she learns the art of politics. She also learns to be cautious, to trust no one, and to prepare for the inevitable challenges that will come when her father dies. In 1236, Iltutmish dies. He has ruled for 25 years, and he leaves behind a kingdom that is strong and prosperous. But he also leaves a succession crisis. Part 3, The Struggle for Power. Iltutmish's son, Nasir-ud-Din Mahmud, is the official heir. But he is weak and ineffective. The nobles of the Sultanate, who never accepted Raziyya's claim, see an opportunity. They try to place Mahmud on the throne. But Mahmud dies within a few months, some say of illness, others say of poison. The succession is once again in doubt. The nobles try to place another son of Iltutmish on the throne, Rukn-ud-din Firuz. Firuz is weak, corrupt, and incompetent. He is also controlled by his mother, Shah Turkan, a woman of immense ambition and even greater cruelty. Shah Turkan rules through her son, and she uses her power to purge her rivals. She has Iltutmish's other wives and their children executed. She even orders the execution of Raziyya's half-brother, Bahram, who is being prepared to succeed the throne by a coalition of nobles. Raziyya herself is imprisoned in a fortress. The kingdom is on the brink of collapse. The people are suffering, the nobles are fighting, and the enemies of the Sultanate are circling. The citizens of Delhi, desperate and angry, revolt. They demand that Raziyya be freed and placed on the throne. The nobles, seeing the popular support for Raziyya, relent. They free her from prison, and they place her on the throne. On November 10, 1236, Raziyya is proclaimed the Sultan of Delhi. She is the first, and the only, woman to hold that title. Part 4, the Sultana. Raziyya's reign begins with a series of challenges. The nobles are still opposed to her, the treasury is empty, and the enemies of the Sultanate are at the gates. But Raziyya is not daunted. She is determined to rule justly, to restore order, and to defend her kingdom. She adopts the full regalia of a sultan. She wears a male turban, she carries a sword, and she rides a horse. She appears before her subjects in public, a practice that shocks the conservatives who believe that women should remain hidden. She also takes a new name, Razia Sultana. She sets about reforming the administration. She restores the treasury, she appoints capable officials, and she punishes corruption. She also builds schools, hospitals, and mosques. She is a patron of the arts, and she encourages the work of scholars and poets. She also leads her armies in person. She rides into battle, her sword in her hand, her banner flying in the wind. She is a brave and skilled commander, and she wins the loyalty of her soldiers. She defeats the rebels who oppose her, and she drives back the enemies of the Sultanate. One of her most effective and trusted military leaders is Jamal-ud-Din Yaqut, an Abyssinian slave who has risen through the ranks to become the commander of the Sultanate's armies. Yaqut is a man of immense skill and loyalty. He is also a close companion of Raziyya, and they work together to rebuild the Sultanate. But Raziyya's success only deepens the resentment of the nobles. They are not used to taking orders from a woman. They are not used to being governed by someone who is not of their tribe or class. They begin to plot against her. Part 5, the Rebellion. The leader of the rebellion is Malik Ikhtiar-ud-Din Altunia, the governor of Bathinda, a powerful and ambitious nobleman. Altunia is jealous of Yaqut, and he resents Raziyya's authority. He recruits other disgruntled nobles to his cause, and he prepares to march on Delhi. Raziyya learns of the plot, and she marches to confront him. But she is betrayed by some of her own generals. Her army is defeated, and she is captured. Yaqut is killed in the battle, cut down by the swords of the nobles. Raziyya is taken to Bathinda, where she is imprisoned in a fortress. Altunia, flush with victory, decides to marry her. The plan is to make her his wife, to use her claim to the throne to legitimize his own rule, and to rule the Sultanate through her. Raziyya, ever the pragmatist, agrees to the marriage. But she has no intention of being a puppet. She and Altunia return to Delhi, where she is reinstated as Sultan. Altunia is appointed as her commander, and they rule together. But the union is not a happy one. Altunia is a harsh and domineering man, and Raziyya chafes under his control. She continues to make enemies, and her authority is always contested. Part 6, the Fall. In 1240, Raziyya and Altunia march against a rival claimant to the throne, a man named Muiz-ud-Din Bahram, a descendant of the royal family. Bahram has gathered an army of supporters, and he is determined to seize the throne. The two armies meet near Delhi. The battle is fierce and bloody. Razia fights bravely, but she is outnumbered. Her army is defeated, and she and Altunia are forced to flee Dak. They are pursued by the forces of Bahram. Near the town of Kathal, they are caught. Altunia is killed in the fighting, and Razia is captured. She is brought before Bahram, who orders her execution. On October 13, 1240, Razia Sultana is executed. She is about 35 years old. Her body is buried in the town of Kathal, where it remains to this day. Part 7, The Legacy. Razia Sultana is remembered as one of the most remarkable rulers in Indian history. She was the first, and the only, woman to rule the Delhi Sultanate. She was a capable administrator, a skilled military commander, and a just ruler. She defied the conventions of her age, and she proved that a woman could be as competent as any man. But she was also a woman who faced relentless opposition. The nobles of her court never accepted her rule, and they conspired against her from the moment she ascended the throne. She was betrayed by her own generals, her own family, and her own husband. In the end, she was defeated by forces that were too powerful for her to overcome. Razia's legacy is one of courage, ambition, and resilience. She refused to be silenced, and she refused to be defeated. She fought for her place in history, and she earned it. Part 8, The Lessons. What can we learn from Razia's story? First, courage is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to be defeated by it. Razia faced countless challenges, but she never gave up. She fought for what she believed in, and she died with her sword in her hand. Second, the world is often unfair. Razia was a brilliant ruler, but she was judged not by her achievements but by her gender. The nobles who opposed her were not motivated by principle but by prejudice. She fought against a system that was designed to keep her down. Third, leadership is about service. Razia ruled justly, and she worked to improve the lives of her subjects. She was not a tyrant, she was a servant of her people. Fourth, trust is a double-edged sword. Razia trusted those who betrayed her, and she paid the price. But she never stopped believing in the possibility of loyalty and friendship. And finally, the past is not a foreign country. Razia lived 800 years ago, in a world that was very different from our own. But her struggles and triumphs are still relevant today. She was a feminist before the word existed, a trailblazer who paved the way for generations of women to come. Part 9, The Dream. Now, as you drift off to sleep, think about Razia. Imagine her as a young girl, full of promise and ambition, learning to ride and fight alongside her father. Imagine her as a queen, wearing the turban of a sultan, riding at the head of her army. Imagine her in battle, her sword raised high, her banner flying in the wind. Imagine her in prison, refusing to give up, planning her escape. Imagine her in the fortress of Bathinda, plotting her revenge. Imagine her on the battlefield, fighting for her kingdom, fighting for her honor. And then imagine her death, the betrayal, the capture, the execution. Imagine her legacy, her courage, her determination. Razia is gone, but she is not forgotten. She lives on in the stories we tell, in the history we study, in the culture we celebrate. She is a reminder that even the most unlikely people can change the world, that a woman from a distant land can challenge the mightiest empires and win. Part 10, The Final Reflection. So tonight, as you lie in your warm bed, in your safe home, surrounded by the people you love, think about Razia Sultana. Think about her courage, her ambition, her resilience. Think about her refusal to be silenced, her determination to live life on her own terms. And let her story inspire you to be brave, to be bold, and to never give up. Razia lived in a world of empires and ambitions, of silk and spice, of towering minarets and bustling bazaars. She faced challenges that we can barely imagine. But she refused to be defeated. She fought, she led, she ruled, and she won. And her story, like the woman herself, will never be forgotten. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. And may your dreams be filled with the sound of hoofbeats, the sight of banners, and the spirit of a sultana who rode at dawn. Good night.